Hello, Adam Ryan Donato.
Hello, hello. This is the first of what hopefully will be many of these. This is my podcast, the hard reviews. Hello, Adam Ryan Donato reviews. Today, the first, the Genesis. You may know me, by the way, from Laugh. That's Lucas Adam and Friends. But now, this is my solo. This is my spinoff. This is my Cars 2, baby. So these are some hard reviews, and my guest for the very first hard review is Devin. Hello, Devin.
Hello, thank you for having me on the show.
I don't know what your wait. Don't tell me your middle name. I want to say it's Alan. I want it to be Murphy for some reason.
Murphy's bold. I mean, with Alan, at least you got the first letter right.
What is it?
It's Austin.
Devin Austin. Yes. Okay. So wrong. I'm so wrong. But I was close. That was an A. It was an A. Okay. So Spirited Away. First off, a lot of this is going to be about you. A lot of this is just going to be about us. So you have Spirited Away on your top 10. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. When I
Uh,
was when I was a kid growing up, I've like watched this movie constantly, and it's been a joy rewatching it and like watching it as I grow up.
so I have your top 10 here. Just to quickly run them by: Mad Max, Fury Road, Reservoir Dogs, Isle of Dogs, Swiss Army Man, Into the Spider Verse, La La Land, Knives Out, Whiplash, Spirited Away, and of course Sonic the Hedgehog.
Of course.
Where in this top 10 roughly would you say you could rank Spirited Away? Would it be in that top 5 range, top 3?
I would probably put it top five. I think it personally I like love for in terms of animation like animated movies. I feel like it beats out Into the Spider Verse for me after giving it another rewatch. I love Into the Spider Verse, and I think it's one of the best animated movies to come out in recent memory. But just like rewatching this like brought in like so many memories flooding back and seeing so much more beyond what I saw as a kid.
So actually, it's very interesting that you bring up Spider Verse because I'm going to come back to that later because I have a question that pertains to Spider Verse. But okay, so you said you watched this movie a lot growing up. Was did you see both the English cut, the English dubbed version, and the Japanese version?
I can't lie. I've only watched the English cut, the dub version when growing up, and when I rewatched it recently, that is what I watched again.
You know, it's funny because I mean, the thing for me while watching it, like I'm okay with reading subtitles, like that's fine, and I'm also okay with the dub. I've only seen the dub as well. I do want to watch the Japanese version just because I enjoy when the audio lines up with the mouths.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, but no, I have not. I've only seen it. This is my second time today. I watched it, and a little bit about. All right, so you actually, I'll ask you first. So, what is your history besides this movie with anime? Do you watch any shows, any other movies?
Actually, yeah. I've been getting into Japanese entertainment more recently with shows and animes from My Hero, One Punch Man, Mob Psycho 100 to like now movies now where I recently watched for the first time Princess Mononoke and Akira, which were awesome.
No, I actually yes, and you saw Akira in theaters in 4K. Is that correct?
I did, and that was wow, that was amazing. For the first time ever experiencing that movie, that was something else.
Okay, okay. My history with anime is very different. I did not grow up with it whatsoever. I think the closest thing to anime that you could say that I watched was, did you ever watch Shaolin Showdown growing up?
Challenge Showdown. I don't believe I have.
It was on Cartoon Network. It was after Ben 10. It was about Omi. He was the yellow dude with the round head, and he's got the 9 dots. And they have the Shangong Wu, and they're just basically like tools that have magic powers.
Oh, okay. I'm seeing it now. I recognize some of characters.
Okay, yeah, no, it was great, but I've seen the entire show, and then they rebooted it, and then I didn't watch that, which is fine. But yes, I actively avoided anime once I got into film, just because I was like, all right, let me get all of the domestic movies, like let me master here first, and then I'll branch outward.
That that's
And
fair.
no, it's not because well the thing. The thing I've been feeling, especially lately, is like I like liking things. You know, I don't ever want to not like something. I mean, yes, it's fun not liking things sometimes, especially when it's like something super well liked. Being contrarian is interesting and fun to an extent, but like I don't know, just so many people seem to enjoy this whole anime thing. Like, may as well like legitimately give it a shot because we watched this movie together in shoot, were we seniors?
Yeah, we were seniors when you first watched it. Yeah.
Yeah, because we watched it in class, and I remember not finishing it. I remember only watching up until like about the halfway point.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't know if you remember, but we were asked, like our teacher asked about the movie. I was like, yeah, I have that on DVD. I could bring it in and we could watch it. And so we did.
Oh my god, I was probably so mad at you.
uh, Probably yes.
I was probably pissed. You own it on DVD? No, you don't.
I don't have it at my apartment right now, but it's at my mom's place.
I was about to say, do you like how I know your collection
Yeah,
so well? I'm like, no,
you
you
do.
don't.
I was gonna say, you know my collection because it is very small.
No, it's a good collect because I ranked you saw I ranked all of your movies, and I think about like out of the 24 or something that you have, like 18 were like 5 stars from me.
I did see that. Yeah.
But what's it called? So back to Spirited Away. I remember watching half of it, and I remember thinking, well, what's the big deal? Why is this like the pinnacle of Japanese animation and film? And then I finally bought the DVD. Actually, or do I own the Blu-ray? I can't remember, but I bought it on Black Friday. Actually, it was a buy two get one free. It was $13 with Ford v Ferrari. I know, and I forgot what the other movie was,
Hey man,
but
you just gotta collect all the movies, man. It doesn't matter which ones they are.
but yeah, no, I would because I wanted to make an effort to really actually enjoy it because I like the Oscars and the Best Animated Feature. Obviously, this one back in 2002 is the second movie ever to win Best Animated Feature, and it's the only anime movie to ever win Best Animated Feature, which is also super cool. But I wanted to own all of them, so I bought it, and I'm like, I want to give it a chance. And I even was at Epcot, and in Japan, we ate at their hibachi restaurant, and in the store they had like giant reels of film with like the picture of a shot, and mine was of Chihiro. I don't know if I'm probably going to pronounce everything wrong today.
Yeah, you're good.
But yeah, it was of Chihiro running through the pink flowers.
Mhm.
Which,
Beautiful shot, by the way.
which to this day I have no idea. Like if there was a video showing me how they animate that, how they make it look like that, I would not. I still don't believe it. Like it is gorgeous, and it paid off because I was sick recently. Don't I got tested? I'm good. Actually, I got tested twice since then. I'm good. But I wanted to watch it in the best condition because I was sick and I was like, no, I shouldn't watch this now. Like, I don't want to remember it as the movie. One of the movies I watched when I was sick. That's like Adventure of Tintin type of movie.
Yeah.
Um, which, by the way, that's a good movie. But that's not the point. The point is, I finally watched it with my roommate before he left with him and his brother, and we watched it all the way through. And I really found myself enjoying it this time around.
Oh, really? I'm as you watch it more, you'll like notice different things or start putting together bigger themes, at least for me, at least
Mm-hmm.
when I watched it this time, because not watching it since literally like senior year has been a trip because
Wow, you
like
haven't seen this movie since senior year.
yeah, and I loved this movie growing up because I it was just awesome to me. And usually whenever I see it, I introduce people to the movie because I'm
Mhm.
like, this is one of the at least greats for animated movies. So I always try to see if I can venture out and show people that I know the movie.
No, big time agree with that one. I'm trying to think if the movies I would put in my top 10 if I watch those every year. I want to say yes, because like I know within the last calendar year I've watched like the Avengers and like even like childhood stuff like Kangaroo Jack and Cat in the Hat,
Mm-hmm.
and like social like news like or not new but like the Social Network. I also saw My Man within the well, it's different. I got into a relationship in the last year, so I've been showing her all these movies. But yeah, when I first saw it, I was like, this is a 4 out of 5 for me.
Mm-hmm.
But here's what that means. So that means I think it's really, really good. I just am not committed to giving it a 5 because I don't know if I'm gonna watch it again. And I didn't like absolutely fall in love with it. You know what I mean?
That's fair. Yeah.
Because rewatchability is a huge thing for me, and I was just like, I don't see myself just like popping this on.
Mm-hmm.
But then I was, slowly as the days went on, I started thinking about it, and I was like, wow, I actually am like, I'm pretty into this movie. And it wasn't until I just started like listening to the music and then researching the movie that I was like really about it.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the first question I have for you. Well, first of all, this is a 5 out of 5 for you, I imagine, or what's your rating
Yes.
scale?
I gave it a 5 out of 5.
Oh yeah, of course, in that elite tier, favorite movies of all time. So of course. Now, what would you say about the fan of this movie who says, like, when you ask them, you go, "Why do you like this?" They go, "It looks pretty."
I that is an aspect of the movie that I believe is they do a gorgeous job at. However, I feel like they're missing the point of the movie, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
like the themes that they heavily like rely on is very like I can like relate to this because I can physically see this, you know, with when for an example, one big thing they do in the movie is the the reliance of capitalism, which is very interesting in how it internally corrupts people from Chihiro's parents from eating so much that they turn into literal pigs to
Mhm.
then the culturally like the bathhouse, the Japanese bathhouse, which was very strict, very like very up to Japanese culture, and then No Face shows up and kind of corrupts everyone into that mind of thinking of greed and having more wealth, and it I feel like that is really cool seeing like now because they reference a lot of post war Japan references, not only in this movie but other forms of Japanese films, and it's really cool to see it animated, but as well as like, wow, like this is a sign of corruption and how you need to find a balance between the two because Chihiro represents the native Japanese culture by being like, no, 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 I don't want to do that. First scene when she's talking to her parents about eating all the food, and then when No Face keeps offering her a bunch of gold, you know,
Mhm.
and I feel like that is a very vital point of culture for Japan like now, and it's really cool to see that in a film and be able to recognize that as a viewer, you
Yeah,
know.
you really dove into that. What's it called? No, because I agree with you. I'm gonna go back to the start of that. That was you unpacked a whole bunch. That was great.
Yeah, I did.
Uh,
I
um, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I've been thinking about this a lot recently, so I was like, oh, I got a lot to say.
No, everything that you just said like lines up with everything that I've read about and gotten from it. And but my point in asking the initial question of like, what would you say to the person who's like, it looks, I like it because it's pretty. I feel like such a pretentious jerk because I when I watched it, I'm like, yeah, it looks. No, you're right. It looks beautiful. This movie's gorgeous. Like we talked about that shot of the flowers. Is oh my god, it's beautiful. Um, there's several shots in this movie that I just think are absolutely gorgeous. Like the scene when she first meets Yababa, right? Is that am
Yes,
I okay? Thank
Baba.
God. But yeah, when and her head is just gigantic and like fills the entire like frame,
Yes.
like it's just beautiful. But yes, because it wasn't until I looked into the movie and like started doing research about it and watching all the videos, analyzing it, and reading up on it, and everything, and watching it again, and then I realized like, oh, I was like, yes, I dug into all these themes that you talked about, but these are themes that I don't think that as a Western audience we can get just by watching it for the first time without any context. Because the context that you just explained is what makes it so cool to me. The fact that it's about Japan diverting from their old school cultural values back in it was sort of like post World War II, like when they started to become westernized, and like you said, they started to embrace capitalism. And they lost their values, and yes, and this was reflected through the parents and their like. I saw a thing they were talking about like, oh well, the dad, he's dressed very Wesley's got the polo and the type of haircut like a military dad. I don't know why that's what comes to mind.
Yeah.
But he's like, oh, I got the credit cards and the cash. Don't worry. And they're driving. Oh, another thing I read is they're driving, and I think it's an Audi, but it's definitely a foreign car, like foreign to Japan. It's not. Um, it's I remember the word imported being used. Um, but yeah, and then the fact that they're in a rundown theme park that's masquerades as this like because it's meant to look, it's dressed up like it's, oh, look at old timey Japan, like, oh, look at these all these it's supposed to be this stone building, but no, it's made of plaster, and just how fake and non-genuine everything is. And it really is, because it really is a condemnation of of our American culture,
Yeah. I
which I'm all for right now.
yeah.
But yeah, no, so all that stuff is what I really fell in love with this movie. So when I ask someone, hey, why do you like this, and they say it's pretty, I'm like, okay, so you don't like it then. Which is
uh
wrong. Like you're certainly allowed to like it just because it's pretty. Yes, it's, of course it's pretty, but like I that's why I feel like people who like anime. And I haven't talked to enough people for sure, and I definitely haven't watched enough of it to have a firm opinion here. I'm very much so the newbie here. It seems like people who like anime are underrating anime, and people who don't like or yeah, don't like anime are underrating it. I think it's underrated and overrated at the same time. You know what I mean?
fair. Yeah, because a lot of that I know with people that I know that like shows, they can tend to overrate it or even just underrate, like play down a lot of like different like Western shows or movies when it comes to like anime, and you're like, no, you have to take this as like look at this without any bias, you know?
Hmm. But like I said before, when it comes to bias, because I can't watch Spirited Away for the first time and just be like, oh, this is totally a commentary about how Japan embraced
Oh,
capitalism and lost their
yeah.
moral values. Because like I'm sorry that I'm not like super familiar with Japanese history, like.
Yeah.
But that's what made, because a great movie makes you want to do that. I've rewatched the opening scene from A Social Network a million times because I get something new from it. There's like, it's not like I'm digging for nothing. There's gold down there, and it's the gift that keeps, the movies like this are the gift that keeps on giving. They reward you for digging into it.
Mhm. Yeah, when I was a kid, I would definitely not know any of that, anything about post World War II or anything like that. Like as a kid growing up, I was like, this is really pretty, and I kind of like this like growing up story that she has. But
Mhm.
like now that I have more knowledge of um like Japanese entertainment through movies and TV shows. Actually, they do this a decent amount where they reference like post World War II Japan. They actually do it in actually Miyazaki does it in another one of his films called Princess Mononoke,
Mhm.
and um and then Akira also does that of how uh being westernized can corrupt what earlier culture you had. And I feel like if you're watching this movie for the first time, it would just right over your head because I like being able to keep rewatching it, like well rewatch it or take in other forms helps a lot more with understanding what happened during that time, you know.
You brought up Mononoke and Akira,
Mhm.
and it's obviously Spirited Away. So are those the only three you've seen? What other movies and anime have you watched?
Um, off the top of my head, I have Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle,
Okay, that's on my
uh,
list.
My Neighbor Totoro,
Yep, that's on my list.
Kiki's Delivery Service.
That one just looks cool. She looks like a witch.
It is very cool. I think it's pretty funny. Um, Castle in the Sky, Weathering for You, and Your Name are the ones I can remember off the top of my head that I've
Okay, so that's a
watched.
pretty in-depth knowledge. Yeah, I was just asking because you brought up the same two movies, and I was like, all right,
Yeah.
is this a one-note pony?
Yeah, what's it called? At least from because I haven't watched some of those in a bit, and those are the two ones I have the most recent memory on. So I remember those ideals being showed through those movies through the post World War II Japan
Mhm.
uh, theme.
Well, because my whole point here is that like I'm not obviously I'm not on your side because like it's not like one of my favorite movies of all time.
Mhm.
Like but I'm also not but inevitably it's gonna sound like I'm against you this entire time because
Yeah.
obviously you're gonna rave about it and I'm gonna sit here and be like, yeah, some parts are all right, and like I'm gonna sound like the guy who's down on it, especially
Mhm.
since I'm very argumentative in nature. But know that I don't think it's bad. In my most recent rewatch, I was like, well, I did rewatch it and I did really enjoy it and I did get more from it and I did, like come away with a better understanding. And so
Mhm.
yes, and it is truly great and it makes me feel things and I'm so like I really enjoyed it. I want to test you here really quick actually
Okay.
because I want to dive in a little bit more to the movie itself. So in about 30 seconds, what I'm going to ask you to do, once we hit 24, the 24-minute mark, I'm going to ask you to explain to me in 60 seconds the entire plot of the movie, like big bullet points. Are you ready?
Okay.
All right. I want to see how well you can explain what happens. And you got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. So Chihiro and her parents go to this abandoned amusement park. Her parents turn into pigs, and she gets saved by a character named Haku that tells her that she needs to work at the Japanese bathhouse that they have to stay in, like, so she doesn't get turned into a pig. So she makes a deal with Yubaba to where she loses her identity and her name gets turned into Sen and she has to work under her now. And as the movie goes along, you see she turns from a whiny 10-year-old to like grown up and kind of matured and being able to handle herself. And her whole plan is to try to save her parents. And so she devises tries to figure out a plan to do that, and um, in the process, she gets helped out by
That's
Kamaji.
60 seconds.
Oh damn!
All right,
This
no,
is
that
this
was
is
pretty
a
good.
this is a hard movie to do in 60 seconds. That's crazy.
No, because my whole entire point here is this movie sounds insane.
It really does, because it's basically a big fantasy movie of you're just dropped in the middle of nowhere, nothing makes sense, and like you don't know anything. I literally described probably the first, what was it, like 40 minutes of the movie at
Yeah, yeah.
that.
You sound
And
like you were explaining it in a way that you weren't trying to spoil it.
yeah, that too, yeah.
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up, though, that about it being a fantasy and you're transported to another world. I think it helps watching this as a Western audience because, yes, it is like the not only are we literally going to a new fantasy world, but we're watching it in a completely different animation style. All these things are from a completely different culture. Like I read a thing that said that they added a line in the American version. Uh, that where they were just like, oh, it's a bathhouse. And like, I'm like, oh, okay, that's a place where they take baths. And then I'm like, wait a minute, what the fuck is a bathhouse? But no, I think I really think it's good. I really do. And I'm not even really into fantasy. You know, like I'm the guy that says, yeah, Lord of the Rings is great.
All right. Well, we know your opinion. At least I know your opinion on Lord of the Rings, but it feels like not fantasy like that, I guess. I would say it's more like Alice in Wonderland type of
Yes, that is actually
fantasy.
a movie that was extremely referenced when I looked into this type of movie. Yes, because it is that kind of coming of age, like, oh, a girl kind of falls into this brand new world and she meets all these kooky, crazy characters and she has to find some insane way to somehow get out.
Mhm.
You brought up something that was interesting to me. I'm going to ask you a question first before I bring that up because I'm kind of proving a point here. Would you say, I know that both can enjoy it, but who do you think this movie would be enjoyed by more? Adults or kids? Like what would you say is the exact target audience? Give me an age range
Mm.
of who this is for.
That's that is a good question, because I feel like you got me.
Mhm.
uh, with kids, you enjoy the movie in a certain way. With
Well, you watched it as a kid, so you should know.
Yeah. So like for me, I loved the Alice in Wonderland fantasy type of world, and her like showing up and being able to like grow into a character, because like she essentially loses her childhood when she has to work in a bathhouse at the age of like 10, and like that's cool to see, like growing up, someone growing up and being able to do all those things. However, with adults, like we stated before, you see all these connecting themes that are like really prevalent in the movie that I definitely did not notice as a kid. So I would personally say um, enjoying it as an adult is better, I think, because you're able to connect some things and figure some stuff out more than I would as a kid, you know?
Okay.
because
Well,
because
was
we
the
would I would, as a kid, I would be like, the wow, the animation's really good. And you know
Yeah, because the point I bring up is you talk about how funny Kiki was
yes.
Kiki's Delivery Service. Because I wouldn't call this like traditionally kids' movies are generally very funny, right?
Yes.
I think I actually know for a fact there is one joke that is a legitimate joke and not me ironically laughing at the movie because there is a couple times that like not in a so bad that it's good, just in like a ha relatable kind of way.
Mhm.
But the joke that was legitimately a joke that made me laugh is I think it was towards the end of the movie and Chihiro steps on the slug and they're like, "Oh fuck, you got to touch your index fingers to your thumb or whatever,"
Oh,
and then it would cut
yeah.
it in half so the evil goes away. And then the
Mhm,
mouse baby on the ground with all the soot does
mhm.
the exact same thing. And then once the like one of the soot things like makes the evil go away, he just puts his arms up as if he's a referee and they just scored a field goal. And that was actually funny. The other moments for me, is there any standout funny moments for you before I name some ironic ones?
Yeah, one standout funny moment that I love is when Chihiro first gets to the boiler room and she picks up the coal from one of the soots that like dropped on their head, and she finally moves it over and throws it in, and then all the other soots like see her do that, so they all drop the coal on them, so she so she would want to help them, and all of them do that.
I'm right now in my head. I'm trying to think of the plural of soot is soots, and I don't have a better
I
answer.
I thought the same thing. I'm like, I don't know if I should say soots or soot. So,
Soots like toots. Um, well, no, okay. So there's two ironic moments that make me laugh so hard. It's when Chihiro goes to, I want to say it's the Boiler Man. What's the Boiler Man's name again?
Kamaji.
Kamaji. Yeah, sure. I'm sorry. No, but she goes up to Kamaji and she's like, I want a job. Give me a job now. And I'm like, same. As someone who's freshly graduated from college, I'm like, same. Oh no, I may have forgotten the second one. But there is legitimately a second joke in the movie where I'm just like I don't know. It's almost like a what the fuck like kind of a moment, and I'll probably come back to it later. I knew I should have written it down, but it's not a funny movie, right?
Yeah, not like in terms of like those family like kids comedies. Like they'll spread jokes throughout,
Mm-hmm.
to keep it interesting and see the interactions, but I would not inherently call it like a comedy.
Oh, I'm gonna put a pin in the comedy because I'm gonna come back to that.
Mhm.
I'm gonna bring it to another point. So one of the shining parts of the movie, aspects of the movie for me at least, is, and I've heard this from many people, is the music, right?
Yes.
So what did you think of that? Did you watch that video I sent you earlier today?
I did, and I was actually very informative because it kind of tied back to the post World War II Japan,
Oh
which
yeah, yeah.
and I was like, wow, like even through the music, they're doing like those themes of post World War II because of how it affected how they write music essentially.
No, I didn't even put that together. That's good. That's good. Yeah, no. Shout out to Sideways. Have you seen other of his videos? Yeah, he does the music theory stuff.
Uh, you sent me a couple of his, and I honestly, as soon as I finished watching that, the one you sent me, I immediately subscribed.
Yeah, he's so good. I like it makes me appreciate like music scores so much more. But yeah, because the big thing that got me to like look into the movie more and analyze it more after I watched it the first time was that specifically is a One Summer's Day. I think is the name of the song.
Yes.
I think it's the only song in the movie. No, I'm kidding. But they play it often, and I was listening to it on the car ride home tonight, and I was like, if like you asked me what this song is from, like what kind of movie this song is from, I'm like, it sounds like it's from the saddest movie ever. Like it is
Yes.
a depressing song because when I hear that song, I think about Chihiro crying while she eats. I think about the song, the moment when she leaves Haku, and well, just what's it called? Spoilers, by the way. If you haven't seen Spirited Away, I think that's the first spoiler I said
Hmm.
this entire thing. But yeah, no, it's such a sad song, but it's so beautiful, right?
Yes, because at the very first scene they play it, and it's a very like, oh, like feels very sad,
Yeah, but it's
and
from right from the get. Yeah.
yeah, right from the get, and they do it for Chihiro, like, oh, I don't want to be moving, I don't want to move away, and
Hmm.
like it gets it immediately, and I'm like, wow, this like when I rewatched it, I immediately thought that I was like, Oh, I love this already again.
Do you have the song on any of the songs in your Spotify?
I do have that one.
Damn it! I was about to say I was gonna be like, oh well, I do, just because it's one of my top 10 favorite movies of all time. No, but I yeah, that's actually a recent like I'm one of those whores that like I have my liked playlist and like just songs that I've liked and
Mhm.
like I have them in order of when I like them and I'll just listen to the same top four songs until I get new songs. But yeah, no, I really love and I'm a big sucker for piano, so I'm really into One Summer's Day. But yeah, no, I'm happy. I'm happy I got you into that Sideways guy. He has a video about cats, which made me very,
Ooh,
very sad. I tweeted him about it actually, and he liked my tweet.
really? Ooh.
Well, because
Does it,
my name's Adam Love Cats, and I tweeted him like 30 minutes after the video was posted, and I was just like it was a good video and whatever, but fuck you, because he was just crapping on the movie the entire time, and he's
uh,
right. But yeah, so the music's great. What's it called? Let's go into like what was your favorite, or do you have anything else to say about the music?
no, that's all I gotta say about the music is it's just amazing to
What
experience for the first time.
what's your favorite scene in the movie?
Ooh. Hmm. Let me see what I got. I think I like the the scene with the stink spirit where
Where
uh
she has all the bath tokens and she uses the good water to the good water, you know.
yeah, good water to clean up this river spirit that you didn't know it was a river spirit until it's finally clean because it has a bunch of gunk in it.
Mhm.
And I feel like that was the moment that Chihiro felt like she was more than just a kid.
Mhm.
And that was really cool to see.
That was about the
Even,
turning point of the movie, I would say.
yeah, yeah. Like even as a kid, I was like, wow, like she really grew up from a snot nosed brat to being able to do stuff on her own,
No, you're
basically.
right. She is a like the first time I watched the movie, I actually kind of hated her because I was like, just shut up. Like so much of this little girl just like whining and moaning and complaining about everything, and I'm just like I get it, like it sucks, but like stop being a bit.
Actually, when I rewatched it, I thought the same thing. I was like, I. That's why I was thinking I gotta watch it in the Japanese dub because I was like, they
Is she
make
kind
her,
of whiny in her in there? Yeah.
yeah, they make her ridiculously annoying in the English dub.
Which actually, I believe, do you know anything about the English dub voice cast?
Uh, I remember there was one that I was like, no way he's in it. I gotta look it up now because
Chihiro is played by Davy Chase, who is most famous for playing Lilo in Lilo and Stitch. So that's where you may recognize her voice. We also have the likes of I have to go all the way back.
oh, there's
Uh,
John Ratzenberger.
yes, John Radsberger, resident Pixar guy. He does. I think he's Ham. I think he's the tow truck. Not tow truck. No, he's definitely not Mater. But shoot, the guy who like drives Lightning McQueen around. You know the big
Yeah, the Mack
Harv,
truck.
not Harv. Mac. It's Mac. You're so right. But he's in every Pixar movie, and Jason Marsden, which I don't know if you recognize the voice, but I knew the voice right away. I was like, that is Max Goof from a Goofy movie. Which that actually I'm happy I brought that up because we're gonna come back to that later. Also, I could tell Lynn, played by Susan Egan. I don't remember these names. I'm looking at IMDb, but I was like, I know her from somewhere, and then my roommate was like, oh, that's Meg from Hercules.
Never
Uh,
watched it. I can't lie. So,
oh, you've never seen Hercules?
nope.
Oh
I
my
know.
gosh. Wow, actually, no, I would love to do an episode about Hercules. I love Hercules, but that's not what we're talking about. I do, I like the voice cast. It's hard for me to really have a strong opinion about it, just because it's not made for them, you know.
Yeah.
I do think it'd be really interesting because I was reading a little bit about John Lasseter trying to adapt the movie for American audiences, and just how what the process of doing that is like, with lining up with interpreting the dialogue and lining it up with the way their mouths are moving, because I think they do a pretty good job, right?
Yeah, I feel like this is one of the better dubs that I've seen because in terms of like some of the stuff that I've watched, I've seen some like really bad dubs that are like
Mhm.
where you're like, oh my goodness, there is no way this is the voice of the character. So I'll just switch it back to the original form of uh, Japanese, and it's so much better.
So we're talking about characters. So which who would you say is your favorite character in Spirited Away?
Ooh, hmm, not Chihiro. uh, love like Chihiro's great, but I feel like the characters around her were like really brought it up, like brought the movie up. So I loved Yubaba every time I saw her, Yubaba and Zeniba. Every time I saw them on screen, I had no idea what they're gonna do because Yubaba seemed like such an intimidating character when you first hear about her, and so you're like, at least for me, I was on edge. I was like, what is she gonna do? Is she just gonna turn her into a pig almost instantly? you know?
No, I'm one of those people that a movie's quality, more often than not, does is very dependent on whether or not the villain is good, and I think she's a fantastic villain. I would have to go. I don't have an answer to this question on the top of my head, but I'm gonna get one now. I don't know. It's definitely not Haku. It's definitely not Chihiro. Honestly, not her parents. It's not Lin. Lin sucks.
Yeah.
It's not Kamaji. It's almost certain. I won't steal yours because Yababa is pretty cool. I do really like No Face. I just like the design.
Mhm. No Face's design is very iconic
Yeah, it's
and
just so simple, but it's so good, and
memorable.
he has
Yeah.
such presence, and I really like and everything with the themes is surrounding
Mhm.
him. So
I,
I would have to go with what's his name, No Face.
I feel like when people talk about Spirited Away, that is one of the characters that gets instantly like brought up or like recognized,
Hmm.
because of how simple yet iconic the design of it is.
Hmm.
And even though like he's not in the movie for a lot, you just remember it, because like he's not the main villain, but
Hmm.
he helps drive
He's like
like
not an anti-hero, but like the side villain. Like the James Franco in Spider-Man,
yeah.
I guess.
Mhm.
I don't know. There's probably a term for that. But yeah, no, okay. So the characters are they're definitely distinct. The plot, okay. The themes are A1. Everything has to
Mhm.
say about the environment, because like the with the whole with the Sting spirit, he's actually just the river spirit, or what? Yeah, he was a river spirit, right?
Yep.
And she just pulls out all this gunk, and like all this crap falls out, and it's just showing like, hey, well, when we don't help the environment, when we hurt the environment, then it comes back in the form of this disgusting monster. And
Mhm.
Haku, how he is the river that she drowned in when she was young. Let me talk about this. This is some bullshit. So he just out of nowhere at the end of the movie, he's like, she's like, "Oh, by the way, I know you now. Like, I know where I know you from. Like, nothing happened to inspire me to know this, to my
Mhm.
knowledge, but I just suddenly remember you as this river that I fell into."
Mhm.
And you were there with me, or you saved me, I think, and brought me to land or whatever. um I'm not remembering it well, but and then he's just like, oh yeah, because she's like, it's the Haku, not Haku river, and she's like, Nor he's like, oh, that's my name, and he just stops being a dragon. And he's like, oh, thanks so much. And she's like, oh, but you can't. He's like, I can't leave. And she's like, oh, that sucks. And he's like, no, it doesn't. I know my name now. I'm gonna tell Yababa she could shove it. And I don't understand what's happening. I don't understand where you're going. I don't understand where you've been. All I know is that you showed up, you helped this little girl. I thought the twist of the movie was going to be that he was an unreliable um, helper, because I like from the get she just trusts this dude, and like they're like, oh, Haku's not as he seems, because the whole entire second act he's just a dragon who's
Yeah.
in so much pain for some reason. And then at the end of the movie, they're like, no, it was love. It was the true love between Chihiro and Haku that broke the spell. And I'm like, what? Did I miss something?
I feel like what they were doing is it's not the physical love, like I love you type of
Well, yeah,
like
clearly she's like a child.
yeah, yeah, but it's more of man loving nature in a sense because Chihiro is basically
Well,
old
because Haku
Japan.
is nature, right?
Yeah, Haku is nature, and Chihiro is like the growing up from like the switch from old Japan to new Japan, and she like her parents and stuff are into this whole new Japan while she kind of wants to like keep the old Japan values,
Mhm.
and that it's not a it's a love between man and nature because through like Haku was trapped in not being able to remember his name because they tore down that river and replaced it with apartments.
Mhm.
And it wasn't her like him like as a human physically saving her. It was nature pushing her to shore and saving her that way.
Mhm.
And I feel like when she was on Haku in his dragon form, she felt like while in the air you kind of like the waves of the air hitting her and it reminded her of water essentially.
So it's like mother, like
Yeah,
the earth loves us. We just have to love it back.
exactly.
Actually, speaking of nature, one thing that I was watching a video analysis about it today, and there was they were talking about the opening scene, and well, actually, no, it wasn't even the video analysis that made me realize this. I was just like, huh. At the beginning of the movie, she's talking about how she got these bouquet of flowers from her best friend that she's moving away from, and
Mm.
she wrote her a note like, "Oh, bye, Chihiro, I'm gonna miss you." And she's like, "Oh, I've never gotten a bouquet of flowers. Always wanted a bouquet of flowers." And they're these pink flowers. Like, this is what we open up on. And then she's like, her mom is like, your father gave you a rose on your birthday. And she's like, yeah, but I mean a whole bouquet. And then she's like, and then just after praising these flowers, she's like, but mom, I'm crushing them with my own hands. We need to put them in water or something. But later on, when she's running like that shot, that literally the shot that I have a picture of, she's running through the same flowers, like the same type of flowers that she got from her friend.
Mm.
And right following that scene is well, because I definitely watched a video essay about this one where they were talking about the scene where she's just crying while she eats, and they're like, oh, Miyazaki definitely has a trend of having like these quiet eating scenes, between like action, where
Mm.
the character just sits there and feels emotions while they eat, and they're very vulnerable, and that's great. And that's probably the best scene in the movie. But it's just funny to me, because I'm like, well, it's just interesting because I'm like, oh, like, is she? Well, she's reminded of her friend because of the note, but is she reminded of the note because of the flowers? Because that's interesting, right?
Yeah, that is pretty interesting because like thinking about it like because like I didn't even think about this before, but like that she was like her as the ideal like human in nature that she's overbearing and crushing like nature itself, and
Mhm.
how like her personally is like, hey, can I please get some water for these flowers so they could like live?
Mhm.
And they're like, no, 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 well, you could get it when we get there, basically.
Well, and
And
I also it's kind of foreshadowing because at the beginning of the movie, she has this note from her friend saying, "Hey, I'm gonna miss you, Chihiro," and she holds on to this. As you can tell, it's the first shot of the movie. This note and these flowers are very important to her because her past is very important to her. It's very serious for her that she doesn't forget where she came from and who her friends are.
Mhm.
Just like how later on in the movie, it's very important how she doesn't forget her own name and the theme about not forgetting, Japan's
Past. Yeah.
past and their values. And I was just like, damn, yeah, right from the get, they knew exactly what they were doing.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I think that's super duper interesting. My favorite scene that I tell everyone, which is why I was skeptical about the movie afterwards, because I was like, oh, do I like this because I just like the ending? Was when he's like, the dad's like, oh, so like a new school and a new home, like yeah, that sounds pretty scary. And she's like, I think I'll be fine. I just love it so much because I'm just like it's cute because it's just like, oh yeah, because we just saw her go to hell and back
Mhm.
in a fucking bath. What is this movie about, man? Like I know like what it is, the underlying thing of what it's about, but
Mhm.
imagine coming up with this plot because I think the third act is absolutely insane because she has to go on some kind of train to go meet Yababa's twin sister who looks exactly like her, except her sister has the Western values. You can tell just by her like what she wears is very European, and her home is filled with all this stuff, and it's not minimalist like Japanese culture is. That was one of the videos I watched too, was talking all about that, and
Mhm.
then she just leaves No Face there, and then she comes back because Haku flies her back. The baby turns back to normal for no reason. Yababa's like, "Oh, I want to give you a test." In which she's like, "Which one of them are your parents?" And it's none of them. And I don't know how she knew that.
Um, okay, so let's answer one at a time. So let's do with Zeniba. I felt like Zeniba was the ideal of like,
The better half, the better version.
yeah, it was the better half. I would say the less corrupted. So I feel like Yubaba was more of newer Japan of buying all these fancy stuff, getting these big rooms in her house, while Zeniba has her quaint little house, like doing her little sewing thing. And with No Face staying there, I felt like it symbolized, okay, like because he tried to get into that gold, give me more food type of thing, and being able to like go from that back to traditional values was, I felt like, No Face's like arc, I guess you'd call it. uh,
Mm-hmm. Well,
uh,
because yeah, No Face is just like from the beginning. He's like just like looking at. He's just around, and he's just like looking at Chihiro, and she's like kind of afraid. And then Chihiro lets him in to the bathhouse, and he replicates the bath tokens for her. And well, he steals one for her, and then he replicates a bunch of them for her, and she's like, no. And then later on, he just kind of like makes gold because he can tell that's what the frog guy wants. I think that's Tom Kenny also. I'm not positive. I know. I think the name's Roger Bumpus. Is the guy who plays Squidward and is one of the frog people. I don't know. Everyone looks like a frog to me. I have no idea what anybody is in this. Like the majority of the people, what are they?
yes.
Like, what is this place? Where are we? What's going on? What happened before? Well, like, I can tell it's just another day in the life of this crazy world. I just don't have enough. I mean, I guess that's kind of the point. Is like what? Don't worry about it. Like, it does. It literally doesn't matter at all what anything is, or what was going on, or who anybody is, or what happens before or after.
It,
Right?
yeah, it's kind of like when you get thrown into a new world in like Star Wars, like a new planet, and they're doing their little cantina scene. You're like, I have no idea what is going on or like what any of those people are, but this is very fun.
Well, I know who our heroes are. I know who all
Yeah.
the characters, the active characters involved, like what they are, where they were, where they're going, what they want, what they need, what they're like. I don't know. It's just I definitely need to watch this movie more. Like, I wish I would have given it like a third viewing before. Well, no, I don't know. I think this is a movie that I'm going to grow with because speaking of growing, the first time I watched it a couple days ago, a couple days later, I said to my friend, I was like, when I was 15, yeah, I think it was 15, I watched The Godfather for the first time. And I wish that I could trade. Like, if I go back in time, instead of watching The Godfather, I would have watched Spirited Away because I think I would have appreciated it a lot more then. Um,
Than The
than
Godfather.
The Godfather. Like I think I really do think that if I watched The Godfather today, I would be like, "Wow, this is so good."
Hmm. That's
But back
fair.
then, I'm just like, "This is very old and boring and long."
Let's see, with Zeniba and all that.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, um, yeah, I would say I forgot about the pigs section of how she would know.
yeah. Am I
I
supposed to
think
know? Like, am I supposed to follow that and be like, "Oh, well, I know she knows this because earlier this happened."
I think what it was she knows that like uh Yubaba would like straight up lie to her, you know? Like that's just what she would do is be like, "Ha, joke's on you, none of them are it." But
Okay.
that's how I think it is. It I can't lie, that is a stretch. that
No, yeah,
to,
that's a stretch.
yeah, to assume that she would infer that she wouldn't put them out there.
All right. What's it called? So just general final thoughts about the movie because I want to talk about stuff about the movie.
Mhm.
So yeah, for me though, yeah, it's definitely a 5 out of 5 now. The music is fantastic, like we said. The animation's beautiful. The themes are extremely interesting, especially to look into. And I kind of want to watch the director's commentary, if there is one.
Mhm.
But this is definitely a very rewarding movie to look into, and I'm happy that this is my introduction, and I'm excited to go forward with this medium and seek out more anime.
Mhm. Yeah. It's definitely a I would say a great start to getting into these type of movies.
Are they all like this, or is it? Are any of the other ones close to you in quality?
Um Princess Mononoke, I've only seen that once, and Liam, our friend Liam, ended up showing it to me, and I loved it. I'll
Hmm.
probably have to give it another try because it does very similar stuff, like with man in nature and post World War II, but does it in a slightly different way.
Hmm. So
That is good.
I'm almost positive that I'm underrating this movie.
Hmm.
Because even though I do say it's a 5 out of 5, even though I do say it's great, and I'm not doing that in the Lord of the Rings way where I'm just like, yeah, it's great. Like this is actually great, and I actually really care about it. No, and I do actually like Lord of the Rings. Okay, it's great. And there's so many things I respect and love about it, and I really enjoyed the last time I watched it, and hopefully that will be the last time. But Spirited Away is one that I want to revisit. And it makes me want to watch other ones more. Like I just said, there's a bunch of them on my watch list, and but I'm excited to like this more when I watch the other ones because right now this is just a novelty movie to me,
Hmm.
and I'm excited to appreciate once I watch this more and I watch other movies like this more. I think that my appreciation of the movie will only grow.
Hmm.
So my question for you is: so we looked at your top 10, right? You
Hmm.
have two animated movies on your top 10.
Yes.
In oh, actually, sorry, three animated movies with Spirited Away. Into the Spider-Verse and I Love Dogs. And
Yes.
interesting because I
Love
I'm not
dogs.
I'm not the Disney guy. I
Hmm.
I, I mean I am, but like I'm gonna play the Disney guy here and say, well, okay, those are your personal favorite top 10, right?
Yes.
But you don't have anything Pixar or Disney, even though clearly you are somewhat of an animation guy. You do not have
Hmm.
any Pixar or Disney, correct?
Correct.
And is it or were any of them close? Is there any Disney or Pixar movies or that you or even DreamWorks that you're like, yeah, that might be a contender?
Uh, Probably Shrek. For me, I can't lie.
Which won Best Animated Feature in 2001, the year before Spirited Away.
Mhm. And then probably the only other one I would put up there is ooh Ratat- Ratatouille.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I feel like I would put Ratatouille up there.
Well, because here's my problem, and this is where I said I was going to bring up Spider Verse again.
Mhm.
I don't think like because I was trying to rank it with the other Best Animated Feature winners, and I'm like, it's I don't want to say it's in the bottom half
Mhm.
because I don't want to be like, but I think I feel like at that point it's just a taste thing, you
Mhm.
know? Because like I watched a video where a guy put Spirited Away as his number one best animated feature winner, and just the way he talked about it, it was chivalrous. He was like, "Oh, it's so beautiful and ethereal, and like so
Mhm.
deep," and just the way he talked about it pissed me off. But no, like because I was just jealous that I don't feel like that or feel
Mhm.
that strongly about this movie, and yeah, because I wouldn't say it's better than any of the Pixar movies that won. Like it's not to me, it's not better than it's not even better than Finding Nemo, but it's definitely not better than Incredibles, Wally, Up, Toy Story 3, like you said, Ratatouille.
Mhm.
It's better than Brave, obviously. Most things are, but it's not even better than Inside Out. I think it's in the Inside Out like range. I think it's close. Just
Mhm.
like how it's close to Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
Um, and honestly, I put Toy Story 4. But that's because I really love Toy Story 4. So that's not fair to Spirited Away. But like I don't know. Do you think that's a taste thing, or am I out of my gourd?
I feel like it's a taste thing. I feel like when you watch more movies that are like this, it'll open your horizons and see how it is, you know? Because I feel like with like those movies are very good. I like Pixar and whatnot, and um, but I feel like when you watch movies like that, it's easier to get a base knowledge and be like, okay, these are great because like you could see the differences between them, you know.
Hmm.
And
Well,
I
let's use Up as an example, right? Because I
mm-hmm,
was talking like earlier, we talked about the music, right?
mm-hmm,
And because people when people talk about Up, they're like, oh, Up is overrated. Like people just remember the first 10 minutes, and the rest of the movie is like average. But the big part of that about that first 10 minutes is the song. Oh shoot, I forgot what the name of the song. Married Life. The main theme of fucking Up,
yeah,
and that song is so great. Um, so we remember that movie so well, and that part of that sequence in the movie, and we think it's a lot better than it is. I disagree. I think it's a great movie just in general, but what's it called? I think that's partly also with Spirited Away. I think if you take the music out of Spirited Away and you take the music out of Up, I think those are two totally different things. Because I think Spirited Away gets significantly worse. I think Up just like it still has so much else going for it,
mm-hmm,
like both have great animation, but Up is hilarious.
mm-hmm,
Like Spirited Away makes me like sad. Up has me crying.
mm-hmm,
It's just I don't know. I'm someone who enjoys, I'm someone who has the Avengers in their top 10. I like the overall like checks many boxes, the fun, let's go to the movies and get a complete experience, like I want some I want some comedy. I want to cry. I want a little bit of action. I want it to be weird. I want it to have good music. Like I want it to work on so many different levels. And while I think Spirited Away is great at a few levels, I just don't see it comparing to anything Pixar when Pixar is at its best, when Pixar does so many more things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like right
that's
now
fair.
in the scheme of best animated feature winners, I'm like, okay, Spirited Away is a great. This is a baseball metaphor, but Spirited Away is a great lefty specialist. But everything, like most of the things that Pixar has done that wins Best Picture, is just a great closer. You know what I mean? Just in general,
Yeah.
like the Spirited Away is good at one thing. It's great at that one thing. It's perfect at that one thing.
Yeah.
But just inside, not Inside Out, but Pixar just knocks it out of the park in every regard. I think.
Mm.
And I'm definitely biased because I grew up watching those movies. I remember seeing Up in the theater, and I just saw Spirited Away for the first time, not even a month ago. So I think it's unfair, but like, I don't know. I think you're talking to a guy who thinks that Spider-Verse and Shrek are in their top 3 best animated feature winners of all time. And I don't think that Spirited Away is close right now.
Yeah. I uh I feel like with with uh with growing up on like Miyazaki movies, with watching those Studio Ghibli movies, like I at least I find a deeper appreciation for it. I can tell like because I've watched both sides, like Pixar, Disney, DreamWorks, whatnot, and with more being able to recall more and seeing more of those, I can be like, okay, I can rank these higher, and like like I know how to feel about them. And so with like comparing it to um like Western animated movies is good. I just think that they hit on different ideals more than uh like the Pixar movies do. Like, and that's from certain certain things they hold to a higher regard over in Japan, is where I feel like that may come from. And like since like this is one of the first things you got into, it's hard to establish that as a base.
No, I think that's fair. Well, I just looked up the nominees for Best Animated Feature in the 2003 Oscars for 2002 movies. And Spirited Away won over Ice Age, Lilo and Stitch, Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron, and Treasure Planet. Now, I'm famously someone who doesn't like Treasure Planet. Spirit is a movie I grew up on, but Matt Damon ruins that movie for me. I love Lilo and Stitch, and even more than Lilo and Stitch, I love Ice Age. And so that's I think I get Spirited Away winning, and I think that's fair, and I think that's deserved, and whatever. But like, I don't know, I kind of grew up with Ice Age, so like, and that movie makes me more sad. The animation's definitely worse, but that movie makes me more sad. That movie makes me laugh way more. That movie. I'm definitely biased, so I'm not even really making a point, but like,
Just
I don't know.
arguing to
It just
argue.
doesn't touch. Well, no, I want to understand.
Yeah.
I want us to understand why I feel like this. And is it as simple as I just need to watch more of these and I need to let this sit for longer and watch it again at some other point? Like I want no, and I'm proud of where I'm at now because I'm certainly at a place where like I do clearly have a large degree of appreciation for
Yeah.
it. I'm trying to rush to catch up to people who have been doing this for years.
Yeah. Which is fair, because it's hard to switch over to that, because like with with these at least with some of those Miyazaki films, they're not like they'll have like funny moments like in like Spirited Away did, but it's not only a comedy, and they might not hit that certain check mark for it, but they hit it in other aspects, you know,
Mm-hmm.
which it's great like at least for now when I'm grown up and not a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But as a kid growing up, you're like, this is great because I loved Ice Age too. Like
Uh,
Ice
the
Age was great.
Meltdown?
Oh, I meant also, but
No,
yes,
I'm kidding. I'm
yes,
kidding.
both of them. Yes, I enjoyed most Ice Ages except for after whatever the dinosaur horn was.
Dawn of the Dinosaurs, and then there was Continental Drift, and then there was Collision Course.
Okay, I don't remember Collision Course. I think they had the grandma. Uh,
No, that was the fourth one. I mean, it also had Grandma, but the fifth one, I don't know.
I
I don't know. I'm not gonna
all
explain
right.
the history of Ice Age for you.
Yeah. But it's different in terms of more of a, I guess, like fantasy drama versus
Mhm.
kid friendly movie.
Yes, because I'm actually happy you said that because like part of the point I was trying to bring up earlier is like there's a bleeding dragon throughout like a good chunk of this movie.
Yes.
Like this movie is about throwing up, you know, which
Yeah.
I mean I like in the story's purpose with all the themes like the purging yourself of the the bad stuff.
Mhm.
Like I get it. I've seen all the video analysis about it and talking about the themes, and I think that's great.
Mhm.
And I really connect with that. That's the part that I really vibe with. I just yeah, I just can't see myself rewatching this over something like Spider-Verse. Like Spider-Verse is so funny and fast-paced, and I guess that's it. I'm just an ADHD little bitch boy that's just like, all right,
A
let's
little
move
TikTok
quickly.
boy.
Like I want something happening in each frame of this, like in every single frame and every single corner, and I want it to be quick and fast and funny. And I can't sit down and just enjoy, um, some beautiful imagery with some themes about how we suck.
Mhm. You know what? Some people are just built different, so they can watch it better. No.
No, but as of right now, my plan is like I said, I have Mononoke, Akira. I want to watch Mononoke next. I am maybe Totoro. That one's a big one. And Howl's Moving Castle. Your Name has also been brought up to me a bunch, and I probably will watch
Ooh,
that.
I feel like out of all of them, you'll like Your Name the most because it's that love story.
I do too, but I'm almost certainly gonna watch Mononoke next because it's probably like a good, a companion piece. I
Mhm.
feel. I will, unless you have more to say, I will get to final thoughts if that's okay.
Uh, yeah, that's fine.
I mean, if you have more, go for it, man.
Uh, I will say if you think the blood and stuff is bad for this, you got to see Princess Mononoke. That is something else.
I'm just saying I wouldn't show an infant. Like, I don't
Oh
know what
no,
the target audience for this is. I think you
yeah,
have to be older than 8.
yeah. I was gonna say when I watched this movie, I definitely should have been watching it when I saw Haku just getting cut up and bleeding everywhere. You know.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. And it's creepy and it's scary. I know I like how creepy and scary it is. Like that's a level that it works on that something like Up doesn't work on. I don't think of Up and I'm like, oh man, that's actually kind of haunting. But like No
Mhm.
Face is legitimately, and then Yababa are legitimately
Yubaba. Yeah.
scary things.
Hmm.
And I think that's great. But I forgot what I wanted to say earlier. When it comes to best animated feature winners, I was struggling to debate whether it's better than Rango or not. And I know what you're thinking.
Damn.
That's not a slight.
Damn.
That's not a slight to how I feel about Spirited Away. That's more of a praise to how much I love Rango.
Hmm.
Like Rango is actually a great movie, but you kind of compare them just like in the same way like you put. I feel like I would put Spirited Away in the same ballpark that I would Shrek, Spider Verse, Happy Feet, Wallace and Gromit, and Rango as the non Disney or Pixar movies to win Best Animated
Yeah.
Feature. You know.
Hmm.
But because then those are all completely different movies, whereas like Disney's kind of like feel the same, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else?
uh, Let me see if I
Any
got any
topics
more
you
on the
wanted to hit
list.
on?
Uh, um, oh, I feel like this. Oh, this is one thing I want to bring it up. Was I felt like this was the second coming of Japanese movies into American culture, with the first one being Akira,
Hmm.
and that was in the, I want to say, 80s.
Hmm.
So I felt like this was a great movie to get people into this culture and movies that they make, and I think for that it's very significant for animation in general, because I know uh, some of the like top, like the professional movie like thing where they rate all the movies,
Hmm.
it's towards the top for a lot of them,
Hmm.
and it's because of its significance for not only them but for Western culture as well.
No, I think it's a great introduction. And speaking as the person who was introduced very recently through this, I think it's great. I think it's a movie that definitely an anime movie that everyone should watch. Like people like to rag on the best animated feature award, and they're like, "Oh, it's the Disney Pixar award," but like, and there's some like Brave and Big Hero 6 where it's like, "Oh yeah, they just kind of gave," or Zootopia where they're like, "Yeah, they just kind of gave it to Disney."
Yeah.
But there's some where it's like legitimately like Ratatouille and The Incredibles and
Hmm.
Inside Out and Coco are legitimately the cream of the crop, you know, and
Yeah.
they deserve to be appreciated as such, you know.
Hmm. I I used to not sorry to get off topic. I used to shit on Coco for the longest time because I really like Book of Life, and so when I saw Coco come out, I'm like, I'm not watching Coco like ever.
Dude,
And
Team Book of Life.
yeah, and Team Book of Life. I'm like, this is just Book of Life, but probably better. I'm not gonna watch it. And it took me like probably like 4 or 5 months before I finally saw it, and I was like, damn, I missed a lot. Coco was great. What the hell?
All right, so I'm gonna get to final thoughts. If you anything else you wanted to touch on,
uh,
please feel free to, man. It's
that's
your
all
time
I
to
had.
shine. All right. Well, no. You've definitely proven to me, and that's what this is all about. It's you've proven to me your
Just
love for this
uh,
movie.
up it from a 4 stars to a 5 stars. That's what I've been doing.
No, it's I would legitimately put it at a 5 star. I'm interested to see how I would feel about it in a world where I don't know that this is like the most beloved piece of anime to exist.
Mhm.
Like and just be like if I was the first person to watch this, what I would say about it, and but it's definitely a work in progress for me. But certainly a 5 out of 5. Like I've said before, like I own a picture, you know, like a giant picture of one of the frames of this movie. It's gorgeous. I think it's a great movie to just kind of put on. Like I used to put on movies at parties, just the movies that look pretty, you know, and I just have them
Yeah.
on, and like the sound's not on, but that's on the screen, and this is maybe not one of those, but like maybe like I'm at home just doing stuff. I definitely see myself rewatching this, and I definitely see me venturing further into anime. Which what else? What more could you want, right?
Yeah.
The animation's great, the music's great. It has a lot to say, which I really appreciate, and it's definitely a movie that's impactful to me. It inspired me to start doing things like this again. So that's the biggest compliment that I could give it. Besides it winning Best Animated Feature. Go ahead. Final thoughts.
uh, I wow. Rewatching this movie was honestly great because I got to kind of like relive what I remember this movie being as a child, and it's probably one of my like I will still consider it one of my top animated movies of just all time. And it like rewatching it also gave me more perspective of because I've been watching a lot more of that of other thing like it relating back to like certain themes like we touched on the post World War II Japan and stuff like that, which is really cool seeing that now versus when I was a kid and didn't know shit. And I feel like this watching and like us discussing this gave me a better appreciation for this movie.
Well, there you go, and that's what it's all about. I said so aggressively. But yeah, no. Do you want to plug anything?
Yeah, my Twitter is bunboy_Bundison, and I will either bitch about movies or sports. So if you want to follow me there, you can.
You know, it's fun. Every time I try to like at you or message you about something on Twitter or look you up or whatever, I always type in Devin, and I'm like, wait a minute, no, it's Bun Boy.
Yeah.
I always run into that. So BUNBOY. Yeah, follow Devin for some quality Twitter content. Don't follow me on Twitter, please. I actually always say that whenever I go on other podcasts. I'm like, don't follow me on Twitter.
Oh,
I'm I'm
he's
I'm
great.
I'm a
Any movie opinion you have is just wrong.
I hate Star Wars. I'm a Star Wars bully.
Don't talk about WandaVision ever.
Oh God. Next episode, we're doing a podcast and we're gonna talk
Ooh.
about all the spoilers.
I was gonna say when the show finishes, we should talk about it.
Fuck
See
you.
what you
Fine,
think.
I'll do it. I actually will because I want to watch it. I bet it's good. Like
Yeah.
everything. Okay, well, this is not about Spirit Away. All right, thank you, everybody. We've got Spirit. Clearly, yes, we do. We've got Spirit Away. How about you?